All right, today we're stepping into a world that's just dripping with elegance, but also it's incredibly playful. I'm talking about Rococo architecture. It's all about gilded curves, soft pastel colors, and this real focus on pleasure. So yeah, let's dive into the elegance of play.
You know that feeling when you look at a huge, grand building or a really intense piece of art, and you just feel kind of small, a little bit overwhelmed by all the drama, the sheer scale of it all?
Well, if you've ever felt that, you're not alone. Turns out that's exactly how high society was feeling back in the early 18th century. They were just done with the heavy, over-the-top grandeur of the Baroque style that came before. And that feeling, it literally sparked a revolution in design. And that's where Rococo comes in. See, it wasn't just another new style. No, it was a reaction. It was a conscious choice, a kind of elegant escape. People were actively moving away from all that heavy, serious stuff and running towards something lighter, way more intimate, and just completely focused on comfort and pleasure. Okay, so here's the plan for our explainer. First, we'll see how it all started as a pushback against Baroque. Then, we'll get into the social shifts that made it possible. We'll take a look inside a classic Rococo room, put Baroque and Rococo head-to-head, and wrap up with why this style is still so fascinating today. All right, first up, from drama to delight. This whole Rococo thing, it was so much more than just a new look. It was a movement, really, born out of this deep desire to just change the whole vibe, to get away from the heaviness of the past. And this slide really nails the difference. Think of it this way. Baroque architecture wants to impress you, to overwhelm you, to scream power. Rococo, on the other hand, it's whispering. Its goal is totally different. It's all about creating a space for pleasure, for intimacy, for your own personal enjoyment. So you gotta ask, right? What on earth caused such a huge shift in taste? Well, architecture never just happens. It's always a reflection of the times. And this move from drama to delight, it was all thanks to a massive change in how society worked. Okay, picture this. Under Louis XV in France, the whole scene changes. The heart of aristocratic life basically packed its bags and moved out of the gigantic, super formal Palace of Versailles. Where did it go? Into cozy, intimate townhouses and salons in Paris. Suddenly, life wasn't about stuffy public ceremonies anymore. It was all about private parties and social gatherings. And with these new private spaces came a whole new set of priorities. The aristocracy started caring a lot more about things like comfort, beauty in their everyday lives, having leisure time, and just good conversation. So, naturally, they needed a design style to match that vibe. A perfect backdrop for witty chats, small concerts, and maybe a few games of cards. Which brings us right to the heart of it all. See, Rococo was, first and foremost, an interior design style. So let's step inside one of these rooms and really break down how they created this completely new atmosphere. And what's so cool is how they were basically design rebels. Rococo designers looked at the old, classical rulebook and just threw it out the window. They ditched all those rigid, straight lines and strict geometric shapes. Instead, they went all in on soft, flowing curves. They swapped out perfect, boring symmetry for a much more playful, asymmetrical look. It was all about natural, organic forms. So where did they find their inspiration for all these new forms? Simple. They looked outside. The whole visual language of Rococo is pulled straight from nature. We're talking shells, flowers, leaves, climbing vines, you name it. And they would weave these shapes into these incredible stucco decorations all over the walls and ceilings, giving the whole room this sense of light, constant movement. The colors, too, were a total 180. They said goodbye to all those deep, heavy, dramatic colors from the Baroque period. Rococo rooms almost seem to glow, They're filled with these soft pastels, light pinks, baby blues, creamy whites, soft greens, and then accented with just the right amount of delicate gold to give it that little bit of shimmer and class. And light, oh man, light was the star of the show. Designers put in huge windows to just let sunlight pour in. But here's the clever part. They'd hang these massive mirrors, usually right across from the windows. Why? To bounce that light all around the room, making the space feel way bigger, brighter, and just so incredibly airy. Nothing in these rooms was an accident. The ultimate goal was to create this feeling of total visual harmony. It's like the whole room was a single piece of art. The architecture, the furniture, the paintings, even the little porcelain figures, everything was designed to work together. You'd see the curve of a chair's leg perfectly echo a swirl in the ceiling stucco. It creates this totally seamless, immersive world.
Okay, now that we've got all the details, let's have some fun with it. It's time for the ultimate showdown, Baroque versus Rococo. This is where you can really see what makes Rococo so special.
So let's just run down the list here. When it comes to mood, Baroque is dramatic, monumental. Rococo, it's light and intimate. The goal? Baroque is trying to show off power and authority. Rococo is all about celebrating leisure and elegance. The shapes tell a big story too. Baroque is all about symmetry and geometry, while Rococo is all about those asymmetrical, natural curves. And finally, the setting. Baroque is for public palaces and huge churches. Rococo is for private homes and salons. It really is a shift from the grand we of the state to the personal I of the individual. That's the key right there. Okay, so a fancy pants style from 18th century France. Why does any of this still matter? It might seem like ancient history, but believe it or not, what Rococo stands for is actually super relevant. The real legacy of Rococo isn't just about swirly designs, it's about its values. It marks this incredible moment in time when the whole point of design just flipped. For this one brief, shining moment, things like beauty, comfort, and just plain old playfulness were considered more important than building massive things meant to intimidate you. It was architecture designed for people, not for power.
And that really gets to a huge idea, right? This quote says it all. Architecture isn't just about buildings staying up. It's a mirror that reflects social change and what a culture values. And man, if there was ever a perfect example of that, it's Rococo.
So that leaves us with one last question to chew on. If those 18th century salons were all about a craving for intimacy and elegance, what do our spaces say about us today? Think about it. Our open-plan offices, our minimalist living rooms, even our Zoom backgrounds, what values are they reflecting back at us?